It was a quiet Saturday morning, the kind where the sun spills gold through the curtains and you finally feel like life is steady again. My wife, Lisa, was making pancakes in the kitchen while our little girl, Sophie, colored at the table. After years of saving, scraping, and sacrificing, we had finally bought our first home. It wasn't huge or fancy, but it was ours. A safe place to build memories. Or at least, that's what we thought. What I didn't know was that our dream home came with a nightmare attached, the homeowners association. And in the middle of it all stood a woman everyone in the neighborhood called Karen. She was the HOA president, self-appointed queen of the block, and she thrived on control. From the day we moved in, she had made it her mission to remind us we didn't belong. Our mailbox wasn't the approved shade of beige. My work truck, parked in my own driveway, was unsightly. Even Sophie's chalk drawings on the sidewalk had been called graffiti. But what happened next was beyond rules or nitpicking. It was criminal. That morning, I stepped out to grab some groceries, leaving Lisa and Sophie at home. When I came back less than 20 minutes later, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Karen was on my porch, fiddling with the lock on our front door. At first, I thought I was seeing things. But no, she had a key. She unlocked my door and slipped inside. I sprinted up the walkway, heart pounding, but before I could reach the door, everything changed. From inside the house came the firm, unmistakable voice of authority, police. Stay right where you are. I froze, stunned. What were the police doing in my living room? Then, as the seconds unfolded, I realized the truth. Karen had just walked straight into a trap of her own making. See, what Karen didn't know was that we had already reported her. After weeks of harassment and her attempts to enter our yard without permission, my wife had finally called the police. They took it seriously, so seriously, in fact, that they set up a sting to catch her in the act of trespassing. Officers had been waiting quietly inside my house that morning, ready to confront her. And now Karen stood in my living room, pale as a ghost, staring at two uniformed officers with their badges out. What is this? She stammered, clutching her clipboard like it could save her. I'm the HOA president. I was just checking on the property for violations. One of the officers shook his head. Ma'am, you just unlawfully entered a private residence without consent. That's burglary. And using your HOA authority as an excuse doesn't make it legal. My wife stood in the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, Sophie clinging to her leg. Lisa's eyes burned with the fury of a mother who had finally had enough. You tried to walk into my home while my child was inside, she said. That's not oversight, that's criminal. Karen tried to laugh it off, muttering about community rules and property standards, but the officers weren't having it. They asked her to place the key she used on the table. My jaw tightened when I saw it. It was a copy of our own house key. Later, we'd learned she had convinced the builder to give her master access during construction and had kept it, never returning it. As the officers escorted her out, neighbors started gathering on the sidewalk. Phones came out, whispers spread, and Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of the neighborhood, was marched down my driveway in handcuffs for everyone to see. But the story didn't end there. Karen lawyered up and tried to claim she was acting in the best interest of the neighborhood. The HOA scrambled, trying to distance themselves from her actions, but it was too late. The police charged her with unlawful entry, trespassing, and even attempted burglary. And when the judge heard that she had used her HOA position to gain access to a family's home, while a child was inside, his face went red with anger. HOA rules, he said firmly from the bench, do not supersede the law. And no amount of entitlement excuses violating someone's home. Karen was fined heavily, sentenced to probation, and banned from serving on any HOA board again. Our neighborhood was finally free of her reign of terror. But for me, the lesson went deeper. That night, after everything had settled down, I sat with Lisa on the porch while Sophie slept inside, safe. The cicadas buzzed in the trees, and for the first time in months, I felt peace. You know what the scariest part was? Lisa said softly. Not that she came in, but that she thought she had the right to. I nodded, holding her hand. Entitlement can be dangerous, but the truth always wins. The story spread online, our neighbors posted the videos, and soon people across the country were talking about it. Some laughed, some were outraged, but almost everyone agreed on one thing. Karen learned the hard way that no title, no board, and no HOA badge gives you the right to break into someone's home. And if there's one thing I'll never forget, it's the look on her face when she opened that door and saw the police waiting inside.